What is up, everybody? This is Recap Rewind. I'm J-Lag.
And I'm NB.
And this episode is recapping and reviewing Riverdale Season 4, Episode 4, and it's called Chapter 61, Halloween.
And don't forget, guys, stick around for the ending because we are going to go through our recap roundups, our best moments, our best lines of the episode. So be sure to stick around for that at the end of the podcast. And also, don't forget, we're having a contest right now on our iTunes. And all you have to do to enter is go to iTunes, type in Recap Rewind Riverdale, and leave us a 5-star review. And you could possibly win a chunk of change on an Amazon gift card.
Yeah.
So that's it.
And a pop socket.
So it's free to enter, free to play. Why not? Leave a review if you like listening to us, of course. If not, then I guess just stop listening now.
And yeah, the contest ends on December 11th, and we'll be drawing the lucky winner on that after that. As always, to our continuing listeners and our brand new ones, thank you for joining us. Don't forget to like, comment, and subscribe to the channel. Let's get into the episode, y'all. So before we get into
it's Halloweeny.
It's Halloweeny. What did you think of the overall episode?
Honestly, I was very, very hype about this episode.
Yeah.
The fact that it falls right on the day before Halloween,
yeah.
I was just really amped about it. It was good, but I'll give it an 8 out of 10. And
yeah.
I'm going to say that because I did appreciate the Halloweeny of it, but Jughead was kind of meh this episode.
Right.
Kevin and Reggie's storyline was a little meh. So, but otherwise, I did enjoy the rest of it. So I'm still going to love it. I'm not going to hate on it. What do you think? What did you think?
I would probably echo what your thoughts were on it. I thought it was a good episode. It was a little lukewarm in the sense that it's the Halloween episode. People are dressing up left, right, and center. You're thinking that, we got all these promo pictures of everybody getting excited about it. And then there were a few storylines that didn't really, they developed stories, but they didn't really go anywhere, which is kind of expected for a Halloween episode. Whenever there's a special of any regard, I'm always okay, I don't mind if it doesn't really attach itself to
it could stand
the
alone.
main storyline. It can stand alone.
We were talking offline about this, but we both really, really like that episode in season 2 where where it's kind of sectioned off with Josie's storyline,
yes.
Jughead's storyline, and there's that whole thing with the deer and the pickup truck, and
right.
That episode was very spooky and very eerie, and I was kind of expecting that kind of tone in this episode, which we didn't really get that, but
yeah, they totally could have done it that way.
They
it
totally
almost
could have,
was
yeah.
They started it off that way because you get the title cards that say the day before Halloween, and ooh, they're gonna kind of set it up in different ways and then go into each character's story because none of their stories really intertwine. So they totally could have had a similar format, and instead they just gave us this episode.
You made a good point because you were friggin' Tony and Cheryl looked amazing, but they didn't even leave the house. They just stayed in the house.
They stayed in the house the entire time. They didn't even hand out candy to the kids at all one time. Nana's got this badass eye patch now randomly, and I'm okay, cool. I guess this is what we're doing now. So yeah, I think outside of the fact that they got them in these cute outfits, here's and I'll only say this, I do understand that it's a difficult task to have, but they went off the rocker last season with their storylines and they weren't listening to their audience. And then suddenly now this season, it seems like they're okay, this is what the fans want. This is what we got to give them. We got to make sure that we make them happy. But I don't like it when they use trailers and the way that they promoted the first couple episodes so far with this idea that we're going to love it because Tony and Cheryl are going to be in DC villain costumes. We got that from Comic-Con and I was excited about it. But then you have to ask yourself as a viewer, why are they in those costumes? What are they doing in those costumes? They could have totally just been in Thistle House the entire time wearing some sexy lingerie and doing a seance, and I would have been totally fine with that too, because there was no real purpose for them to be dressed up outside. It was of the just fact for that it was a Halloween
I think it was
episode.
just for the flashiness of it, and I don't know, gotta give it I guess I gotta give them something because anyways, let's get into the episode.
I let us know what you guys thought about it in terms of that vibe. Did you guys do you guys agree? Do you guys disagree?
Yeah.
But we'll go through the episode. We'll talk about our pain points and talk about the great points, because there were some really good points to it as well.
Yeah, and just quickly, like, I just want to say shout out to at Postmaster Radio for filling in last week, because he did a great job, and I missed you guys.
Yeah,
and it was great.
We missed you too.
I was like, wait, what happened last week? And I was like, oh yeah, I wasn't even like doing the recap last week. So we had that whole farm thing finished. So now we're totally like, we're done with the farm. We're
done with the farm. We can move on with our lives. Alice is out, and that was like the big thing this episode.
Yeah.
Okay, so getting into it. So the way that last episode ended was the Cooper residence, or I guess Jughead's house now, gets a tape, a VHS tape, and when they play it in the beginning of this episode, it starts with this narration saying these tapes start to pop up everywhere, which is kind of eerie because Postmaster Radio did say, like, are we going to see more of these tapes showing up around town?
Yeah.
And that is exactly what happens. These tapes start to show up mysteriously around town. In everybody's case, it was, Veronica's house and the Cooper residence and Archie's house. And it's just like 9 hours, or I don't know how long she said. It was like 4 hours worth of just the front of the house being recorded. And there's nothing on it. There's no message. There's no music or sound or anything. It's just that surveillance footage, I guess. And it's just keeping everybody eerie. There's no there's no notes that came with the videotape. So they're not sure where that is. So that's, I guess, a part of the mystery. And we don't get any answers about that this episode at all. It was just that kind of
it's just setting up the foundation of like what these tapes could mean, or like that they exist. So like someone's either watching them or someone's watching them.
Since we're not gonna go back to it, what do you think these tapes are?
Honestly,
do you have a suspect yet?
Well, yeah, I have a suspect, and I don't know if I should say it now or like wait till the end of the episode.
Let's talk about it now, because I don't think we ever go back to the tapes.
I think Charles might have something to do with it, and it might not be in like in a malicious way or like in a bad way. I think maybe he's just like, yo, this town's like insanely lit with like drama. Like I need to like spy on these people and like figure out what the fuck's going on in this town. So I feel like they might lead us down this way of like, oh my God, someone's like spying on them. But like it's actually meant to be like a good thing, maybe.
I would agree with you, outside of the fact that there's no reason for him to do it and then send them the tapes. You know what I mean? Unless someone is finding these tapes and being like, yo, this is what your brother's like doing.
Maybe someone found the tapes and they're like, look, like people are spying on us. But like, then why not just like, I guess they don't want to say who like found the tapes.
And that's the thing with the Riverdale mysteries. As much as I know that it's hard to kind of cultivate and create your own new mystery every season, if it doesn't make any sense as to why somebody's doing something, and this is so arbitrary, and so like, who would put it on a VHS tape? Who would send it to these specific kids? Like, why is it happening this way? Well, I guess Pops got it too. Like everybody in Riverdale basically.
Yeah, everyone got it.
So it was one of those things where it's like, you're going to use that motif. It better come through. And this is what we said for season 3 as well. It all better make sense. It all better be the reason why we're doing this is because of a reason.
I'm really trusting in this in their process at this point. And like, it's still early on. So like, I'm trusting that like they know what the fuck they're doing with this storyline. And
anyway, we'll see how it all kind of pans out. Let us know what you guys think. What are your theories and who it might be? But as I mentioned, it cuts in the very beginning with the title card the day before Halloween, and everybody's preparing for Halloween. So it cuts to the Cooper res. I don't even know if I can call it the Cooper residence anymore. What is this place?
It's like the Phallus res now? It's like the Phallus res.
The Phallus res. So we have Betty and Jughead and Jellybean, and they're kind of like a one big happy family. At least like the healthy family members are under the same roof.
Yeah, like Polly is somewhere like in a hospital.
She's gonzo. Yeah, she's like at a mental institute basically. And what did you think of seeing them all kind of in the same space? Like, this is the first time.
Yeah, it was cute. It was like very like I was waiting for it. I like how easily Phallus kind of just came back together. Like they were all like flirty in the kitchen. Alice had her fucking like blazer back on, like she's like ready for business. So she's like I was kind of like, okay, like it almost honestly feels like season 3 never even fucking happened. Like it's just kind of like where we ended off in season 2, and I'm like obviously so down for that. No, I loved it. I think it was super cute. I love the dynamic between like Jellybean and Betty when Jughead's not around too. Later on that happens, but I love them all together.
It's true, and I do love the fact I agree. I think I do love the fact that I see, you see Jellybean and you see Betty, and you don't always ever know what the dynamics are, especially with like a hormonal teenage girl. But she seems like a cool teenage girl.
She seems cool. Like she plays Minecraft, so she's kind of like a tomboy. Like she's pretty chill. She seems pretty chill.
Yeah. So anyway, they're waiting to, Jughead's going to be coming back later that night because whatever, it's the weekend in Riverdale. So he's going to show up later. And then it cuts to Cheryl and Tony. And this part like killed me.
I was shocked. Like this is my WWF moment. No lie. Like, because like they're just chatting and then it like shows Jason dead. And I'm like, so Tony's like cool with this? Like, wow. She's like the girlfriend of the century. Like, this is amazing.
Best girlfriend of the century. She's being patient as fuck with Cheryl. Like, she loves this woman.
Do you need anything? Do you want like a toothbrush for your brother? Like, are you okay? Like, should I get a pillow for him? Is his hair okay? Like, I was shocked at how freaking cool she was with all of this. Like, considering that they're still freaking high school students. Like, take that in. I'm
like, why? Like the amount of patience that Tony has for Cheryl's bullshit is like insurmountable.
Like in 10 years, she's gonna be like, my ex-girlfriend in high school like lived with her dead brother. Like that's gonna be her story. Like that's fucked.
And they're gonna be like, I'm sorry, I had to go through that.
Yeah.
Anyway, so it comes to a point though, this episode where Tony's like, okay, like it's been 3 weeks. Like we discovered the body. I discovered the body. I think it's time now for you to let go of Jason. Like let him go and say goodbye. And Cheryl says she reluctantly agrees. She's like, okay, fine. What do you want to do? And Tony says, like, let's just bury his motherfucking body. And Cheryl's like, okay, like, let's figure it out. And Tony's like, I got the shovels. Let's go right now. Like,
yeah, she wanted to rush that shit. Because, like, she knows, like it's
this
fucked.
Is too much.
Like, it's actually fucked.
Yeah. So they proceed to go and like bury the body. Then it cuts to Stonewall prep and Jughead and Moose are talking and Moose is basically like depressed because that news release came out last week and he's getting bullied. People are calling him like the Gargoyle Boy or something like that.
First of all, they used to call him Marmaduke and now they're calling him Gargoyle Boy. So it's like, bro, you just have bad names like in general. Right. Like you need to like get a new name. And then your other name is Moose. Like you're bound to get made fun of. Like
so it comes to a point where like Moose basically is like, I want to join the army because I'm not even happy here anymore. And my thing is, and I guess we can talk about it a little bit later, but like, what was the point of him even coming into the story if he's like, I don't want to leave now? Like,
I wrote the same thing. I was like, I don't get it. Like, what was like other than the fact that like these kids were picking on Moose and Jughead's like, oh, there's bullies at the school. Like, who cares? Like, there's bullies everywhere. Like, what's the big deal? Like, why is that such a gag thing? And they bullied Jughead
anyway, so they could have just had Jughead dealing with the bullying by himself.
I mean, I feel like it might lead to something later on because otherwise it feels very like random. Like, why are we seeing Moose again at this point?
But that's the thing. I don't know what's more random, like having Moose be part of the main story with Jughead or have him just leave after 2 episodes.
I don't know.
Like I don't know. Anyway, so that's happening in Stonewall. He's like depressed. Then it cuts to Riverdale High. And everybody's like tripping out and most especially poor Betty is like just dealing with the shit because everybody is out here wearing gargoyle and like
Black
Hood outfits because that's like
I was like, where do they even get this shit from? Like fucking Party City's having like their town's murderers from last year like costume.
I know.
Like who would ever wear the costume of like your town's murderer? Like it's like disrespect. Like come on,
some disrespectful shit. Which I did appreciate that Mr. Honey's like shutting that shit down. He's like, nobody's allowed to wear any costumes, especially not costumes of literal murderers.
Yeah, so, like from last year. Like poor Betty.
So yeah, whatever. Betty has like a quick moment where she's really going through the shit too. Like obviously it's really hard for her to deal with it with her dad being dead and stuff. So it also cuts to the kids in the lounge area and everybody's just kind of tripping out being like, what's going on? And Reggie comes in, first of all, wearing like fully Freddy Krueger like t-shirt.
Cute,
He's such a cutie. And he's just like cheese. He's like hating on Mr. Honey so much. He's like, this guy's a piece of shit. I hate him. I want to TP his fucking office when, like for Halloween, like do a little prank on him.
And then someone was like, I think it was Veronica or like Archie, and they're like, we can't, like Reggie, like we're like high school students. And he's like, yeah, we're exactly. We're like seniors. Like let's fucking go ham this season and like, like do some senior like pranks.
Right. So, anyway, the only person that does decide to help him out is Kevin.
Because by the way, like, yes, this story was very random, but I also like respect Reggie really hard that like he actually does something that's like fun and like he's like, guys, we're in school, like let's get lit. Like I love that he's that character because like you still need him. Yeah, it was just like it went kind of too far. I was like, okay, I don't really care about him and Kevin. Like, yeah, like, really, by the end of it, I was like, okay, whatever.
Because that's the thing, you like set up his storyline with like basic high school like shit, and then everybody else has like these next level.
Yeah, because it was like, Halloween. Like it didn't fit in this episode specifically. Like I get the whole pranking thing, but like yeah, they could have saved it for like a next episode. And then Kevin's like, I don't have anything to do, so like I'm just gonna join you now because like we're friends.
Yeah, so he's like, okay, we'll do it later tonight. Monroe is out here just like harping about the kids and
Monroe's
like, the kids and
entire
the kids.
story. Like every single time you saw Monroe's episode, he was like, Archie, got news, bro. Not good. Yo, Archie, got news, bro. People are outside, bro. Like every single like this guy's poor like line is just like warning Archie about what's about to happen.
Bearer of bad news.
Never like, hey, I'm good today. Like I'm gonna be this for Halloween. Like nothing.
Nothing. He's just so he's worried about the kids because he's like, you know, Dodger's still out there like kind of like recruiting them or whatever, and he wants them all to, you know, be safe. So Veronica says, why don't you guys host a like kids Halloween party at
the gym?
You know, at the gym at El Royale. And they're like, great idea. And we got a Katie Keene.
Yeah.
I don't know if you noticed that, but
she was like, my girl, Katie Keene in New York City. She like makes outfits, so like she'll hook you up. I'm like, when does she do it? Like, how fast can she do it? Like,
she did it that
tomorrow,
quickly,
girl.
Like, she knew that she needed these fucking party outfits. She's gonna ship them FedEx, like UPS style.
What did you think of the shout out? Like, were you like, ooh, I can't wait to watch?
See, I know that they're trying to connect us. I know that like they're trying to say like, oh, she's from New York and she's from New York. Like, let's make it.
It worked.
Unless Veronica's rolling up, like unless Veronica's gonna roll up in New York with Archie at some point in time and Katie Keene, like I don't need.
I mean,
that
maybe,
right now.
or like maybe she'll roll up on her own. You know, like she'll just be like, hey, I'm back in New York.
Or she goes to like NYU or something.
Something. I like the connection. I think it made sense. I think that it had to come from Veronica.
Yeah, because like nobody else knows Katie Keene.
Yeah,
that's why.
Yeah.
Anyway,
so she makes her outfits.
She's like, I'm gonna make your outfits. Like they're already ready to go. Like one that's like specifically fitted to your body, Archie, because I already gave her your measurements.
Also, like if she's going to school for Halloween costumes, like maybe she should choose like another like career path, because like, like she should be making outfits for like fucking Gigi Hadid or something, not like fucking polyester nylon spandex costumes.
Yeah. And like high school students from like a town like that's like in the middle of
town.
nowhere.
It was just funny. Whatever. We're just ripping on it.
Anyway, so then it cuts back to Stonewall, and this whole thing between Brett and Jughead is like becoming very, very.
It's like
I feel like
too
it's coming
much.
stale.
It's like too aggressive. Like Brett's like on his dick. Like just leave the guy alone for a minute. Like
for 1
you know,
second.
like it's like he's too obsessed with Jughead.
Yeah, he's obsessed, and he just it grinds at him obviously, and he's like, oh, I'm not like a poor kid, like whatever. And he says one of his favorite stories is the Telltale Heart, where basically somebody is like underneath the floorboards, and he's like, ooh, maybe we can make it like, instead of the Stonewall 4, make it the Stonewall 5. And I don't remember who tells him the story. Is it Mr. Chippy or is it someone else?
I feel like Mr. Chippy like added to the story too. And then he was like, oh, but it's just like folklore, Jughead. Like it's not real.
It's not real. So he's like, yeah, whatever. These 4 kids just disappeared without a trace.
Also, can we just talk about like what happened to the serpents? Like where's Sweet Pea and stuff?
Good question. Well, Sweet Pea, I don't even know. They didn't even like name another serpent.
That's what I mean. Like,
That's
they don't
very
even, like,
good point.
They haven't mentioned the serpent since last fucking season.
Yeah. Like,
sorry,
give it to Cheryl.
That was random.
Clearly, she has way too much. She has way too much time on her hands. Give it to Tony, who has way too much time on her hands. Like these.
It's just weird that there's like not even a mention. Like I don't need to see the whole scene, but just to be like, hey, the serpents are like on pause right now because like like whatever. Like they literally like just cut them out. Like there's like no mention of them.
It's very true. Like Sweet Pea like was so like he had a mini storyline last season.
Yeah,
and then he disappeared.
Yeah.
Anyways, cuts to Thistle House, and This is when the doll shows up. So after they bury the body, there's this creepy ass doll that shows up in Jason's like wheelchair, and Tony's like, what the fuck is that? It's so creepy. And Cheryl's like, I don't know where that is, but it must be Jason. Like, she is pushing this whole idea. She's that like, it's Jason.
I told you, TT, if you fuck with Jason, he fucks with you. So like his spirit's like coming back with a doll or something.
Tony's face the entire
I loved her
was
face.
Like, really, bitch?
Her reactions.
Really, bitch? Yeah. So she's like over it. And then it cuts back to Jughead, and he's reading like a newspaper at school. He's trying to learn a little bit more about the Stonewall Flat 4. And Donna comes in and gives him a cup of coffee.
Yeah.
And
right away I was like, this bitch. I'm like, I knew it. I was like, she spiked that shit with amaretto or something. Like
get him drunk. So she drugs him. She like basically roofies him, and then he passes out, and she's like, ha 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 ha. And then they all like prank
show
him.
Up. Yeah.
Yeah.
What do you think about Donna?
I don't think that I can trust her. I think that she's a shady bitch just because she's kind of part of the same crew.
She's part of that crew, yeah.
But at the same time,
do you think that like he'll have a thing with her at all this season?
See, I thought that might have been the situation, especially last episode when she wins that writing contest. I was like, oh, there's like a female character. Like maybe she'll be a part of something.
Yeah.
But then I don't know. Like it doesn't feel like it's pushing far enough for me to really like.
And they might not have time for that at this point.
And they may not have time for it, or maybe they don't even know what's going on right now. Like maybe they're writing as they go, as they sometimes do. So I don't know. Maybe they're putting it up there just in case to see if they can snag it later. But yeah, in the beginning, I was like, oh, maybe Donna and Jughead will have like that romance to derail Bughead. But then at the same time, I'm like, nope, she's just shady. He's never gonna trust her again because she basically drugged him. So that's definitely not gonna happen anytime soon. So then it cuts to the diner, and Archie and Monroe are wearing their cute little Halloween outfits.
Cute.
Archie's wearing this superhero costume, which actually Postmaster Radio told us about last week, and it's I think a hero from the actual Archie comic book universe, called Pureheart the Powerful.
Cute.
And the Shield is probably a part of that too. So the Shield is Monroe. They're dressed up as superheroes.
Like Monroe just looked too good. You know what I mean? Way too good. Like way too good for nighttime, like primetime TV. Like I can't.
Delicious. Yeah, like tight pants in the right places. So
like Katie Keene knows how to tailor that shit. You know, like she got their sizes and she was like, I'm gonna tailor to your thighs and your butt.
The junk in the perfect area. So whatever, they leave because she's like, I'll see you later at the party, El Royale. Yeah. And then they leave, and she's at the diner just closing up,
which was still very weird to me, guys. Like, why is this little girl like not little girl, but like she's closing the store. It's like late at night. Like she should have someone else there. Like what was Pops doing?
Where did Pops go?
Like where does he have to be at that late at night?
Where does he need to be? Does he have
a date?
Like, does he have a date? Like, yeah. Like, what was he doing? So anyway, whatever. I get it. I'm like, didn't you know that she has like her own business and she's got to like close that shit up? So whatever. it made sense to me. And then it cuts to Betty at the like Cooper Res, and she is handing out candy, waiting for Jughead. And literally everybody, this poor girl is like literally being traumatized every single time she opens the fucking door. Children are wearing Black Hood and Gargoyle King costumes. Yeah. Like it's just too much.
It's too much.
I just felt like it was like a lot. And then she starts to just be like, oh, this is so annoying. I hate this. Then it cuts back to Jughead, and he is now like, he wakes up and he's like, I'm in a coffin.
Worst nightmare. Worst
nightmare. Confined in this like small space.
It gave me so much anxiety. I couldn't watch it.
And yeah, that's pretty much what we
That's pretty much how you see Cole. That's the thing. Like I was reading Twitter, and like a lot of people were like upset because they're like, bro, like you just kept this guy in a box for 42 minutes. Like we get it. Like we get that like they were pranking him, but like they could have made it look cooler, I think, or like done something else that could have been more like scary. Like it was scary, but it was just like he's just in a black coffin, like with a lighter, like and he's screaming for the whole episode.
I feel like we've seen him in a box. Like he's been in a box. He was in a
and he did say that.
He's
like I've been through this, but then he was still scared. So
he freaked out because I mean he's in a fucking coffin. But still, I was just like, I will agree with you. I was a little annoyed specifically about that part because I was like, okay, I get it. It's creepy. It's scary, especially when you're in the box. It's very claustrophobic, whatever. But like, he doesn't go on an adventure. Like, he never gets out of the box and is like trying to leave the school in like late hours, you know, like if they made it more of like a pranking situation where they were, you know, they did all this other shit to him, then I would be like, oh, okay, it's like a Halloween thing. But instead he was like stuck in the box the entire time. They didn't like torture him. They didn't like whisper things in his ear, and they weren't like screaming or jabbing at him or making him even more scared. He was just like stuck and there was nobody else around him. I was like, boring. So anyway, it cuts back to Betty and she gets a phone call, and it's someone that sounds like the Black Hood, but it's kind of pranky because they use lines from classic, you know, urban legends and movies. So one of the things that they say, or at least the first caller says, is, have you checked on the children lately? And she's like, goodbye, bitch. And she just like hangs up the phone. But it did feel very much like it was like, okay, and now what? And now what? Like, she just keeps getting this call.
And don't get me wrong, like, I enjoyed it because it was leading up to something. But like, overall, I just felt like they've done this before. Like, we literally did this in season 2, or like with the freaking like, you know, stranger calls inside the house. Like, we literally have gone through this. But I get why they're repeating it. I just felt like they could have done something different. The writing was a little lazy, in my opinion, for this for Betty's whole sequence. Like, it could have been different, but like, I don't know what else they could have done. I don't know.
It's very true. Like, a lot of the things that happened this episode were just repeating them.
Yeah, it was just recycled from the previous season. So for Halloween,
except for Veronica's storyline, I loved hers. Like,
everything
hers
except
was
for
the
hers.
most exciting.
Yes, for sure.
So cutting back to that, she as she's about to close up, a man rolls, like a mystery diner just rolls in.
By the way, like, if you ever worked retail and like you close that motherfucking store, like, you tell them to like get the fuck out. I'd be like, no, I'm sorry. Like, I've been closed for a minute, but you're not coming in. Like, I'm closing and I'm going to my friends. But she was so nice. She was like, that's okay. Like, come inside. I'll cook you dinner.
I was like, okay, that's like, your fault.
Can you even cook?
Yeah. So whatever. She's like about to like make him a burger because he sits down. He
looked shady though.
My family.
Like, he looked like dirty and smelly. Like, I was like, oh, like he
did look dirty and smelly, but at the same time, I kind of expected it, but he did play it really well. Like, I didn't expect it. Like, I didn't expect when it was gonna turn because he played like the nice guy. But also, well.
Like, he was like, I'm gonna get home to my daughters. You know, I'm trying to get home. Like, it's not Christmas, bro. It's Halloween night. Like, you're gonna see them tomorrow morning. Like, Halloween's over. Like, what's the big deal? It's not even Christmas. Before sunrise. Yeah.
So funny.
Like, they're gonna be asleep.
Yeah. So it cuts to the Halloween party. Everybody's having a good time, and of course, our new nemesis Dodger shows up at the Halloween party, like a kid's Halloween party, and this part kind of annoyed me. So. They confront him at the front doors because he's calling this guy out, like this little kid, Eddie. He calls him out and he's like, yo, come with me. Like, why aren't you out on the streets, like, working? And Archie has to step in and be like, what the fuck are you doing here? You're not welcome here. Your boys are not welcome here. And basically Dodger puts it together that it was Archie was the one that beat them up last episode. And this is the thing that kind of annoyed me about it was, like, Monroe was like, yo, like, those guys are gonna find out that you like did that. And Archie was like, don't worry, I was wearing a mask the entire time. Like, they're never gonna come back to like the fucking boxing ring and like take revenge on us or whatever. And then sure enough, in this episode, he rolls up and he's like, also, you're the one that fucked me up. Like, basically,
like, he knew.
And then Monroe's like, yeah, I heard you got beat up last time. Like, this happened. I'm like, okay, so the person that was scared that he was going to find out is now also telling him that we're the ones that beat you up.
Again, this all feels very repetitive from season 2.
Yeah.
The red circle.
And it's just like one of those things that, like, I don't know. Well, I know that he's going to be the villain for Archie. I just don't know how much I want of Archie having to deal with a gangster again. Like, I just feel like
I almost feel like he didn't need a villain. All he needed was like a struggle to keep the gym open, a struggle to, like, you know, like do activities for these kids. Like, he didn't need like an actual physical person to be his villain, because I feel like it's just repetitive again. Like, he's fighting gangs again. You know, like, we've done this. We've literally been through this in season 2. Like, why are we going back to this?
They could have done? They could have had like somebody who like he fought, like maybe that guy that he accidentally killed, like maybe that family could have been like, we're gonna make sure that you shut your shit down.
We're suing you or something.
Like we're suing your ass. Like, even if it was like a legal battle, like why does it always have to be gang related?
Yeah, it's
I guess it's like Riverdale. Like, what can I expect? So then it cuts back to Thistle House, and
CHONI.
Now the girls CHONI are wearing their outfits. Harley Quinn is Tony, and Poison Ivy is Cheryl Avi, and they're like making out on the bed. They're like la, 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 like whatever, and then they hear crying, and they're like, oh shit, it's the babies. I didn't realize that they had both of the twins.
I know, I totally forgot.
When did that happen?
I don't know.
I thought that they only had one, and then Penelope stole the other one, but I guess they have both of them now. Whatever.
Yeah.
Anyways, so they hear crying, and they go downstairs, and they see that the babies are sleeping. So they're like, what the hell was that? And then Nana's like, yo, it's like your brother, though. And then
your other brother, your third,
like your other brother. Yeah, so she doesn't really say that. She's like, it's your brother. And they see the doll sitting on the couch again, and they're like, this is so weird. Cheryl's like, okay, it's JJ. We need to do a seance to like cleanse the house's like world or whatever, the situation. So that's kind of like her mission of the episode. Then it cuts to school, and Reggie and Kevin are like having like this like moment where they're trashing Principal Honey's house, like place, and there's all this other shit that's going on. And then Principal Honey walks in. He's like, yo, what the fuck are you guys doing in here? Like, why are you guys here? What are you doing? And so they get caught. And then he pulls them both kind of aside separately. What did you think of him and this, the setup of this?
Again, it felt very random, felt very out of place. But what it shows Honey doing is like, Honey's like a sociopath. Like, he really like manipulates like their insecurities, like Kevin's insecurities and like Reggie's too. And like, he went in on them like so effing hard. And I was like, whoa, like this guy's like crazy. Like, how do you speak to a student like that? Like, it was so savage. But also like they fucked up his office. So like, I understand, like he's pissed. He's pissed. Like, it's fair.
Yeah.
You know,
he's trying to like break them down in like a certain way, but he's
originally
not doing it in
he goes
a nice
to Kevin, and then Kevin basically like breaks down in like 2 minutes, and he's like, "Yo, it was Reggie's idea," and then he goes to like Reggie, and like basically.
Anyway, we'll get to that after. But before we go to that, it goes to the Cooper residence, and Betty hears a thud, and it's Jelly being KO'd, and then it's commercial break, but. So it doesn't really matter. But right after that, she's like, just kidding. It's not real.
Like, and I was like, you're so funny.
Yeah.
What happened to like, Minecraft? Got bored?
Exactly.
Like, what the fuck?
So whatever. She gets another phone call, and she goes back downstairs, and she's like, who is this? And he's like, I'm the Black Hood. And then again, a phone, like a line from a classic movie, When a Stranger Calls. He says, the call is coming from inside the house. And then she like hangs up because she's so annoyed. Then she hears a knock on the door. She gets her like infamous, like iron poker. And she opens the door, and she's about to hit the person, and it shows up. It ends up being Charles, and he's like, yo, I'm like over here trying to bring some pizza over. Like, what the hell? And he's like, I just wanted to check in on you because of the videotapes, and like, I know it's Halloween, whatever. And so
my only thing with that was like, I don't trust him, because like, when you come over for Halloween, like, and you're only gonna bring like one box of pizza, like who are you? First of all, like that's so useless. Like, if you're gonna come through to my house, like come through with like pizza, like. You know what I mean?
Come in with like pizza.
At least 2 boxes.
Like minimum.
Yeah.
Plus like there's a whole family you gotta feed. You're gonna feed with like tiny little box of pizza. That's such a good point. So whatever. So they have their like chill session later. But then it cuts to Jughead, and he's still in the box. That's what I mean. Like it cuts to him moving on to the next scene. That's it. So then it cuts to Veronica, and she puts the food down. She's like, I'm not usually the cook, so like I hope it's delicious, at least like you can eat something. And he's again very nice. He's like, yeah, like, thanks so much. Like, I'm just very excited. Like, this is my family. And the picture looks like very old.
It's
like
very
it looks
old. Like it looks like it's like stitched together, like taped together.
Yeah, it basically looks like it's stitched together. It's like really creepy. But he shows the picture and she's like, cool, she's
like,
good for you.
It's so cute.
Yeah. And then she like walks away. Then it cuts to Charles and Betty hanging out. And she complains about the fact that she's getting all these random prank calls. She's really annoyed. And he's like, yo, like, why don't I teach you how to trace a call? Like, I have the equipment literally in the back of my seat because I carry it around
does
everywhere.
Does he have a job? Like, does he, like, I get that his, like, case was the farm, but, like, he's very, like, I don't know, like, do FBI agents not have other things to do? Like, I just feel like he's like I don't know,
you would get
weird.
assigned a brand new project.
Like right away. Like you can't just like
Riverdale?
lurk and have like a tracing unit in the back of your trunk. Like it's just very questionable, but it's Riverdale. Like I guess I just gotta like go with it, you know?
Just go with it. And I mean, I think the good thing that I do appreciate about the show is like all the skeptical things that we normally question are like filtered through Betty, because Betty's always like, who the fuck is this guy? Like, why is this so sketchy?
Yeah.
So her guard is still kind of up with him. So it's all about her kind of bonding with him this episode. So then it cuts back to Mr. Honey and Kevin, as you mentioned, having their like one-on-one. And he wants Kevin to essentially admit that like he had nothing to do with it. But like you said, he's breaking him down so hard. Like, if I was in that room with Mr. Honey, I'd be like crying on the floor.
He honestly, he made all the comments that like we made last season. He's like, you think you're like good at what you do for the play? He's like, you fucked up Carrie, you fucked up Heathers. He's like, you get nothing right. I was like, oh my god, like he went in. I was like, he's like, and Kevin was like dying. Kevin's like, oh my god, I am a failure. It was like really like savage.
It was real. It was.
He's like, you think you're gonna go to New York and you're gonna do that there? Like it was insane. I was like, this guy's crazy.
This guy is like angry.
And then he was like, it was Reggie. It was Reggie who did everything.
Yeah. He did everything with the phone. He's like, okay, cool, bye.
Yeah.
He's like, now that I broke you, go back home. You know, like just,
as if he wasn't already broken. He's like, he's like in pieces now.
Also, as a side piece, like he doesn't even tell Kevin like to go and like help clean up.
Yeah, no, he's just like go.
Okay, go home.
He's like, just go home.
He's like, leave. And that's the thing. I wasn't sure what his game's at, like what his game is, but we'll talk about him a little bit later. So then it cuts to the El Royale, and Archie and Eddie, the little kid, are talking again, and Eddie's basically like, I'm from the streets, yo, like the hard streets of Riverdale, and like it's really hard out there, and I need to like protect myself and stuff. And so as they're talking, Monroe comes in, and as you said, he's like, yo,
Archie, I got something to tell you, bro. There's people outside. They don't
Trouble's here.
Trouble's here. You like my outfit or what?
Yeah. So then he goes outside. They both go outside. They're like, and Archie obviously is like trying to like step up, and he's like, yo, get out of here. I told you to leave. And
Dodger's like gangster all of a sudden. He's like, yeah. You won't come from me? You want a gun? I was like,
he's
what?
Like, pop, pop, pop.
Like, where did we end up? Like, what show are we in right now? Like,
what are we doing? Yeah. So he's threatening him with a gun, and then Archie's like, okay, I'm going to call FP. Okay? I'm going to call the sheriff.
Yeah. So, just call 911, bro. Like, why do you got to call FP all the time? He's so effing useless.
I mean, I think he is the 911 phone
He
call.
can't just be the only 911.
That's the saddest problem about this town.
FP
is like this
is
one
the
sheriff,
worst
one
cop.
phone
He's worse than
He's
Keller. They should just bring Keller back on.
Yeah, I'm down. Come back,
Oh,
Daddy.
yeah, for sure.
So then it cuts back to Thistle House, and Cheryl and Tony and Nana Blossom are having a seance.
Yeah.
And they're just trying to figure it out. And Tony is out here like skeptical as fuck. She's like, are you moving the board? Cheryl, this is so bullshit. Like,
yeah.
Cheryl's
like, no.
I don't know what you're talking about. She's fucking nuts. Like, it's not even funny. And then it moves to the J, and that's when, Cheryl or Tony starts freaking out. She's like, this is not funny. It's not JJ's ghost. Like, I know that you're probably angry because we buried the body and whatever. And Nana's like, it's not, Antoinette is right. It's not JJ. It's Julian. And I'm like, honestly, I feel very attacked.
Like, really?
I was like, really, bitch? So then she tells a story about the fact that there were triplets originally that Penelope was going to carry. But when they gave birth, Jason came out and then Cheryl came out and she was like licking her little lips and she was like, delicious. I just ate my brother.
Yeah, it's like she's like
she consumed him in the womb.
And I was like, okay, what a sick storyline, Grandma, on Halloween. Like, cool. I really believe you.
So
and then Cheryl's like feels some type of way. She's like, oh my God, like what did I do?
She felt she was very affected. And then you find out why the doll was created, because basically like Penelope kept it around because
like
know,
to
it was
act
like
like a third baby
for the baby that didn't exist. It's just weird shit. See, the thing
is crazy.
We had a bunch of fans kind of explain this once we watched in the promo reaction, and like apparently there is a storyline where Cheryl Jason did have another brother, and I think in the comics he ends up like in a cult. So
I'm over it. I don't want a third storyline. I'm over this. Like, this feels so stupid to me, you know?
No, I don't want it. And I think that it is going to be like embodied in this creepy Hereditary, because we have an episode coming in the next couple episodes where it's going to be covering that movie that came out, Hereditary. And if anybody's watched it, it's like scarring for life. So I'm sure it's going to be really creepy.
Is it about twins, or is it about like someone eating someone in the womb or something?
It's not about any of that, but it is about like a family and like their fucked up like kind of connections.
So they'll talk about that maybe or something.
Yeah, it's got that like gothic, like creepy
family
spooky stuff in it.
Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Cool.
So anyway, so they're like this baby doll is like in the corner named Julian, and Tony's basically like, okay, Cheryl, if we dig up Jason, do you think that he'll stop haunting us?
Yeah.
And
Cheryl's like, yeah, totally.
And then we can get rid of this doll. And then, of course, she's like, totally. And I'm like, okay, so she is the real fucking...
Yeah, she's been fucking...
one who's been, like,
planning this
doing shit. So then it cuts back to Mr. Honey, and he's talking to Reggie now. And he's like, yo, like, what's going on with you? I know that you get beat up by your dad and, like, this, and this. You can't cover up your scars and you're, like, black eyes. And Reggie's just like, again, out there, like, affected for life. Like, he's like, oh...
He's like, you think that you're funny? He's like, you think that you're funny and everyone's laughing like with you? He's like, bro, they're laughing at you. And then like Reggie's face was like, what? He's like, go clean up my office right now. And then he's like, okay, yes sir. And like he went and cleaned up the office.
That's literally what happened. He just like went in so hard on them. And that's the thing. I'm like, why do you think he did it? Like, why are they making him out to be this like
must be something, like he must have some sort of like effect on them. Like, I don't know. Like maybe he's gonna be like,
do you think that he could be the person that's sending them the VHS
But then
tapes?
Why? Like, for what?
I don't know. Why is he interrogating Kevin and Reggie so hard?
I don't know.
Like, he's at this point covered every character. Like in the first or second episode, he did the same thing to Veronica. He did the same thing to, Cheryl, I think too. Like he's just kind of going in and like trying to understand that group for some reason. And I don't know what his like end goal is.
Yeah.
Anyway, cuts to Charles and Betty. And they have a really cute moment where Charles basically says like, I just want to be a part of a real family. I've never had a family. Now that you guys are here, because Betty basically is like, why are you still here? Like, what are you even doing here anymore? And he's like, I just want to stay connected. I want to feel like that connection. And so somebody else calls, and as she's on the phone with him, he's tracking the phone number. And once they hang up, she finds out, or he tells her that it's coming from Shady Grove Treatment Center, which is where Polly's being treated. And so right away, Betty's like, this bitch is fucking calling me to prank me.
We're pranking her, yeah.
So they call Shady Grove back, and Charles is like, oh, it's Edgar on the phone.
Yeah.
For Polly. And then he puts Betty on. And Polly's like so excited. She's like, oh my God, Edgar, is that y'all? And first of all, I was like, doesn't Polly know that he got like shot dead? Like, does
she's
she not
just
realize
so crazy?
That he did?
She can't come back from this. Like, stop bringing her back into the show.
Just end her right now.
Just like finish her off. God.
But the best line of probably the entire show,
the whole season,
it's when Polly says, Edgar, is it really you? And Betty comes in and she's like, no, bitch, it's your sister.
I died.
I was dying of laughter. So
like,
hard.
I almost felt like it was like she made that up as she went. Like the script didn't really say that, and like it was just the way she was like, "No, bitch,
just, like,
it's
how
your
she,
sister." Like
decided to say it
because she's even fed up with Polly's character. Like you can just feel it.
She's like, "Get the fuck out of here, bitch!" So fucking funny. So
now, what happens here is does Betty hang up the phone or does Polly hang up the phone?
I think Polly hangs up the phone because Betty keeps being like, why are you even being like this? Why are you even bullying me? And Polly's just like gagged. She's like,
okay, because I was reading something else that said that like it was Betty that hung up on Polly and Polly was like, no, it's not me or something.
Yeah, because Polly basically does try to say like, no, why would I do that? But she doesn't give her a chance to really explain herself. She's like, phone, you must be some sick twisted biatch, and then she just hangs up on her, so she doesn't really get an answer from her
because people were saying we'll talk about it after.
We'll get back to it after because I do have a theory about that. Anyway, it cuts back to Pop's diner, and this is when things start to escalate. She takes a plate from the guy. Veronica takes a plate from the guy, and the TV.
On top of that, he's like trying to get home to his fucking kids, but this guy has time to have like pumpkin pie. Like that's what I mean. Like it's just like shady. Like go home. Like who has time for dessert? And so like Veronica's like, do you want some pumpkin pie? And then he's like, yeah, for sure. So she like walks over to like the cake fridge, and then right then and there, like Alice's voice comes on the TV, and she's like. Everyone beware in Riverdale. There's a murderer on the loose, and he goes by the name Family Man. And like she's like he needs to be served a home cooked meal like before he kills.
Before he kills the people that he's gonna kill. And that's the thing. I was like, listen, I'm down for it because it felt like very
make
like
it more real.
But it was so the description was so specific.
He's a family man, average height. Like
he like shows a picture of his family and then he like wears trucker clothes because he killed the trucker. Like how do you know that you killed the trucker? Like where was his body disposed of? Like
and like who told you what the trucker was wearing, that he was missing flannel?
Like sits in diners and waits to be served food, and then
in that moment
before dessert is over he kills them.
Right after dessert, don't serve him coffee because then it's not finished yet. Did the guy hear the TV too? Like, because I couldn't really tell. Like,
yes,
like you could see him in the background, but like Veronica was like, oh, she was like getting sketched out.
She got started getting sketched out, and she like started to tense up, but he started to tense up because, like
I said,
smiling. The way that
he
they
was
said.
Like,
yeah, he's like, oh, I'm cut now. I'm going to kill you. So she turns to him and she's holding the pie, and then she drops the motherfucking pie.
Well, she's directly in front of like, I guess the entrance to La Bonne Nuit and then also the exit to the actual Pop's diner. And this bitch, instead of fucking running out the door, like to freedom, she runs backwards into the basement where you can't escape. Cool.
Yo, listen, first and foremost, I will say that moment scared the shit out of me. I love it. I get so much anxiety watching someone like cut it that close where like the person is like staring at you through a window, like
because they know, like he knew that she knew that he knew that she knew. So exactly. So she drops the pumpkin pie, like God forbid, like I could have had that from the floor. Like I fucking love pumpkin pie.
I was like, I'm turning this off.
She dips. She closes the little like glass door to La Bonne Nuit, and he's like, I'm gonna get you.
Yeah, so creepy. I hated it.
So weird.
So then she goes downstairs, and then like right away she starts to like brew like a cocktail.
She's like making it a grogny. I'm like, girl, you know he's after you, right?
Not the time for a drink. I mean, maybe it is a time for a drink. I guess. So she's like brewing the drink, and then I wasn't sure where it was going. No, I knew for sure. The way
but like that's the thing. Like I knew where it was going, but I'm like, girl, like how do you know that he has a lighter on him? Because the whole time she's dumping liquor in a plate. I'm like, okay, she's making like a bomb, but I'm like, but like what's gonna trigger the bomb? Are you gonna trigger it? Like how's this going down? Like I really need to know.
What is she gonna do? Yeah, so he's in there like looking, and he's got only a lighter, and he's kind of like looking around. So creepy. And that's the thing, like if they had the entire episode with these like slow creepy moments, I would have been like, yes, this is Halloween. But anyway, so he's going down, and right away he sees her on the bar, and she's like, fucking
she's like lights out, bitch.
Coyote uglying like the fucking Bon Nuit.
Yeah.
And she's like, pour it up.
Yeah,
she like fucking pours that shit all over him. She pours it all over him, and he catches. But that's the thing, like
fire. Her plan literally depended on him having a fucking Zippo lighter. Like if he didn't have that, like her plan would have sucked.
It would have just drenched him in alcohol.
He would have like
just,
cool.
Been like, okay, that's all I got. That's all I got. So she drenches him. He gets caught on fire. She hits him with a chair, and then she runs out. While he's still on fire, I'm like, bitch, is the Bon Nuit gonna burn down?
I know. I was thinking the same.
Were you like hoping that it was gonna be done?
Yeah, kind of a little bit. Secretly, I was. I was like, is this shit gonna burn down?
Yeah, you're like, sorry, the Bon Nuit's now burnt down because there was a guy that like died in there that burned to death. Anyway, whatever. She runs away. She's safe. Then it cuts to the El Royale, and they're just, I don't even know how this happened. I guess he was inside waiting for FP, and he hears like pop, 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 like gunshots. He runs outside. All the kids are freaking out, and Eddie is now like on the floor with like his like knee is like bleeding. And literally 10 seconds later, like FP rolls in. So back to your point about the fact that he's like
just ridiculous. Like he's just so useless.
Like, why do they make the sheriffs that useless every single time? He's like, yeah, I'm so sorry. It was like so busy today, but like, I don't know, like what's going on. And yeah, so this guy's like bleeding on the floor. He's like
fucking like, Monroe's like, Archie, well, by the way, the guy's it's just like everyone is so useless except for Archie. Like Monroe's like, yo, Archie, I think he's hurt, man. Like I heard gunshots.
I think he shot him in the knee. Like
check that knee out.
And that's the
and
thing,
then
like,
Archie, I
so
died.
annoying.
And then Archie, like, I don't know if you noticed, but Archie like goes down to see Eddie to be like, are you okay? Literally, like FP looks over to see Eddie, and then he walks away. Like he doesn't even check on the kid. he like walked back to his car.
He's like, gunshots. I gotta call an ambulance because I'm the sheriff now. Like, I was like, what the fuck is happening? They really are setting him up to be like a terrible
I just think
sheriff.
like I think he was good for the time, like in season 3, like half of it, and now I think it's time for like Keller to come back. Like he's just not meant to be a cop, or like he's like the assistant cop, you know, because he's just not.
Agreed.
I just feel like he's not all there. I don't know.
He's not successful as a cop whatsoever. So whatever. Then it cuts to Betty and Charles is like, yo, there's like this like next level like junior FBI program that you can sign up for. Okay. And I'm like, stop right there. We already had a junior fucking police academy with Jughead joining the academy last season. Why are we doing this to these children again? I get that she should because like she's sick and she should be a part of the FBI.
I think they're setting her up to be a legit FBI agent. Like I feel like she's gonna go to New York. Like if this show goes to New York post high school or goes to a big city, I feel like she's gonna be an FBI agent, and I'd be down for that. Like she's amazing at it.
See, I don't think that it's going to go that way, but I do think that she's going to become an FBI agent, but it's going to stay in Riverdale. It's going to flash forward when she's already graduated and she's like now like a sick,
but she stays like, in Riverdale.
Agent. Yes. She's like the new, or she comes back for like some mystery that gets uncovered
that'd be cool.
In season 5.
Yeah, that'd be cool.
That is my like theory.
Okay.
Anyway, did you think that he was being genuine? Do you think that he was... Like, what did you think
I definitely think he's being
situation?
genuine, like for the the junior program, but I think he's doing it to keep an eye on her more. Like he's like, we're gonna hang out more if she's like my apprentice, or like, you know what I mean? Like he has like an alternative like motive to that. But I think this guy's like motherfucking hot as fuck. Like, why isn't he on like Tinder, going like on a date, honestly, like on Bumble? For you know, like honestly, like I'm pretty sure I predict. Like I was saying this from like before in season 3. I was like, ooh, I want like Veronica and like him to like hook up because like it's like your brother's like your best friend's brother, you know?
Yeah, sexy. I don't know. Like I just feel like they need to like get a shirt.
Maybe
off
they will. Maybe they will. Like once he's like integrated more into Riverdale, maybe like he'll have those like side storylines.
Like,
I feel like he gave a weird look to Kevin in that episode. Like I still feel something's like off with like him and Kevin.
I don't know, man. I don't know if he's gay, if he's not. What I don't know. We'll
find out.
Either way, he's like. Anyway, we'll see. So then it's the next day. This is the thing that killed me because it like right after that scene, it's like next day after Halloween.
It's
I was like,
okay, so we get it. It's morning.
Betty literally just like went to sleep, didn't think that her boyfriend who was supposed to come home that night, who didn't come home that night, she like what, just like went to bed and was all good. Like I didn't understand why she didn't like investigate.
Well, I guess
further.
she called him. Like, what else is she gonna do? Like he didn't answer his phone, and what, you know, like
she could be like, something's wrong with him. Like, how many times do people get murdered in this goddamn town? He could have been dead. So that's the one plot hole that, I mean, there's many plot holes, but this is the one plot hole that I was like, okay, like why wouldn't Betty be the first one to be like, I'm gonna search for you until the morning, you know what I mean, until you're home. Because they could have made her be the one that opens up the fucking coffin. Like she could have, like, this bitch has been running around in abandoned houses and like finding like scary shit from like the get-go. Like, why is she now being like, I'm gonna hang out with my older brother and like who cares about my fucking
I just don't think
boyfriend.
They wanted to like intersect those stories, which I get.
Yeah, I get it, but I just also feel like why would she would never do that anyway. Then it cuts to the school and Reggie's still cleaning up. It's like taking him all night long. And he leaves with Mr. Honey. Mr. Honey's like, okay, cool. Like, you're there. So you're telling me that Reggie and Mr. Honey stayed in the school all night? Fucking
like,
night long?
What were they doing there? And
they didn't do anything sexy? Like, come on. This isn't real. This is where I draw the line, guys. So they walk back to the car and Reggie freaks out. He's like, no. I forgot what the name of his like car is.
Bella,
Eloise. Like, I don't know. So he like freaks out because somebody TP'd his car. And then Mr. Honey's like, oh yeah, that must really hurt. You know, like when it's like your own private property and somebody like vandalizes it and like makes it really ugly. Like it really annoys you, doesn't it? And then Reggie's like, did you fucking, like he doesn't say it, but he's basically like, so you are the one that fucking TP'd my car.
Yeah.
And I was like, why is Honey being such a petty motherfucking bitch to all these students? Like, he's acting like a child trapped in a principal's body.
For sure.
Like, I don't understand what he's doing. So anyway, Reggie's like, it's fine, I'll clean it up myself, but like, you're a shady motherfucker. So then it cuts to Cheryl and Tony, and Jason's back. Like, she's combing his hair. Like, everything's fine. Cheryl's like, Tony's like, God damn it. Why do I love this girl so much? She's just like very, very frustrated and annoyed. Then it cuts back to Jughead still in this motherfucking box. He has a dream that he's like being buried alive and like the like soil is coming into the coffin, but then he wakes up and like he's still stuck in it. Mr. Chippy gets him out and he's like, yo, this is crazy. I can't believe there's a coffin in my like room and this and this. Like he just starts talking. This motherfucker though, he's like,
he knew what they did. He knew what they did.
He knew what they did. Yeah. He's basically like, it is a Stonewall prepper tradition to like haze you. Like it is what it is. Like they come up with new ideas every single year. And then the kids are just like standing in the corner. They're like, it means like you're one of us now. Like you're like a part of our crew and like you're part of the family. And then Brett's obviously like, yeah, was that too like scary for you? Because if it was, like you should just leave now. And Jughead's obviously like, go fuck yourself. So this is the part that, yes, I wrote it down because I was like, Mr. Chippy definitely knew because they're like, because Jughead is like, yo, did you know that this was going to happen? And Mr. Chippy's like, no, I didn't know anything. And then on top of that, Mr. Chippy ain't giving anybody like disciplinary action. I'm like, this is a motherfucking boarding like prep school. You'd think that these people would be like, absolutely not. You would never do this to another student, especially since just 2 episodes ago, Mr. Chippy's the first one to tell Jughead like, oh, violence is not like tolerated. A part of our thing. Yeah. It's zero There's
definitely
tolerance.
Something happening like behind the scenes, and like Mr. Chippy is not innocent. Like he's obviously in on it too. Yeah. So now we just gotta like uncover like what that is.
Exactly. So I just like, yeah, there's something there. There's history there. I don't know what it is, but we'll see. Then it cuts back to Archie and Eddie at the hospital. And this is when things get very annoying for me. So basically Archie's like, okay, like you'll get better. It'll be fine. You're like going to be on your way to recovery. And Eddie's like, but then like when I get out of here, like, what am I going to do? And Archie's like, well, you can stay at like the boxing community center. Like everything will be fine. Eddie's out here acting as if he's like he just did like 7 years hard time and he is like a juvenile record and he can't like graduate. He's like, I can't be out there on the streets. Like if I'm not out here, then like, you know, Dodger's gonna like find me.
It was like
and
a
like
little
I'm gonna
dramatic.
Be, like, I was like, how bad is Riverdale where literal children are terrified of like leaving this, like being on the streets?
Yeah, like when did it get
how
this bad?
Exactly. Like, I know that Riverdale's always set up as like a kind of sketchy, relatively dangerous town, but I didn't know it was like to the point where kids have to join gangs in order to survive. Like,
yeah, it was a little too much.
It's a little too much.
Cause what that kind of leads to is Archie feeling some type of way about it all and being like, how can I save these kids? But it's almost like it's too big of an issue for him. Like, he's still a senior, like freaking high school student. Like,
he's trying to graduate high school.
Like, politicians try to fucking figure that shit out and they can't figure it out. Like, how are you going to figure it out, you know?
Where's the mayor? Oh, do they not have a mayor again? Oh, my God.
What happened to Hermione? Oh, yeah, she's in jail. They definitely need a fucking mayor.
They never even have, like, a vice or, like, somebody who's taking over. Like, that's what I mean. They, like, totally dropped all these storylines so quick.
For
it wasn't even funny.
For sure.
Like, why set these up? Like, bring back fucking
McCoy.
Josie's mom. And so then it cuts back to Varchie at the Pembroke, and Archie's basically like, yo, real talk, like, I don't know what the fuck I'm doing, but like, I gotta like figure something out because this town is fucked and my dad would be so disappointed. I want to do something that makes him proud and happy. And I was like, yeah, but like beating people up and
like,
wearing
real talk, your dad just would have wanted you to graduate with like straight A's. Like, that's all he would have wanted you
like,
to do. Like, that's it.
Or like, maybe don't die.
Yeah,
like, maybe that was his goal.
Play football and go to school, and that's it.
Like, just be done after that.
But Veronica actually like encourages him this time, which was actually surprising. Yeah. She's like, you should. Like, she's like, go clean up the streets. Like, put your little like costume on and like go.
Clean up the streets and just like come back to bed. And so like in true CW television show
he
form,
was so excited though. He's like,
he
really?
like sees the superhero. He's basically gonna become a superhero. Yeah, is what's gonna happen.
He's gonna become like Archer or something.
Yeah. Oh my God. Don't even get me started. So what did you think of the fact that they're now making him?
I'm not down for that. This is not a superhero show. You know, him being like this fucking vigilante. We've been through this. We've done this storyline already. We've passed it. And Fred was over it. Fred was like, what are you doing? Are you dumb? Like, so I don't understand why. I get that there's an issue. I just don't think that it's this, like, we need to go down this path. Like, we've done this. I'm not into it.
And it shouldn't fall, like, I agree. It shouldn't fall on, like, a kid's shoulders. Like, I don't understand why he's doing this.
You're right. Like, they should have a system of government being like, okay, guys, let's figure this shit out. Like, town hall meeting, whatever it is. I'm not down for this superhero thing again because we've done this and it didn't work. Yeah. So
agreed. Anyway, cutting back to Cheryl and Tony, and they like go downstairs and the doll is back again, and Tony freaks the fuck out. She's like, what the fuck, man? I thought that like with Jason back you wouldn't do this to me. And Cheryl's like, okay, so real talk, I was kind of fucking you up. I was lying to you. I was kind of like moving the board and making you feel like it was JJ's ghost because I wanted my brother back. But this doll, like, Def didn't do it. And Nana Rose is out here being like, it's Julian. It's the doll. It's the soul of the doll. And Cheryl's like, y'all, I don't know what the fuck's happening, but like the haunting is just beginning. And that's kind of how their storyline ends. And then it cuts to Stonewall, and it's kind of this back and forth conversation. You know, like Betty's like on the phone with him, and he basically says like Moose has disappeared, like he's gone, like all of his shit is gone. So we talked about it earlier in the episode, but like what did you think of the fact that he just disappeared?
I don't know. I didn't even think anything of it. I was like, I don't really care. Like, honestly, I don't care, guys, about Moose. Like, it's just, you guys didn't make us even care about him last season when he freaking ditched Kevin. Like, so why would I care about him now? Like, he doesn't mean anything to me. So I don't even know where he went. He probably did go to the army.
Yeah, maybe he
did. But
it's
probably something more shady. Like, they probably like kidnapped him. Like,
yeah, but you're right. I don't care. Like, if you die, you die. It's whatever. It's not a big deal. So they're talking, and then you find out that Charles has been listening to the conversation this entire time.
Yeah, he's listening to Betty and Jughead, right?
Yes. And then Betty says, you know, like, he might be the real deal. So he's kind of like listening in and trying to like get information. But like, what did you think of that whole setup?
I wasn't necessarily like completely shocked, but like I said, I don't know if it's like in a malicious way that he's spying on her. Maybe he's just like protecting them and like trying to understand like I don't know. It's kind of weird that he's spying on them, I guess. I don't know. I feel like it might not be in an evil way.
Yeah, they do this a lot where there's like misunderstandings. This person was like meant to be the person that's monitoring you, but like, then
when we had Chick was evil. So like this other character coming into play being like the brother and being evil and being like vindictive, like we've seen that already. So why can't we get someone that's like actually good-hearted and like, you know, he means well. But having said that, they're not going to keep that like his character in the show full time. So I don't know. We'll see. What did you think? I mean,
who knows? Like, Polly was like batshit crazy this entire time, and she like found her way all the way to season 4.
But that's what I mean. It's because like, yeah, that's true. I don't know.
I thought that, you know, they're trying to set us up and show that he's a creeper. And then it started to make me think about a few things. One thing being maybe he was the one that was like trying to make her feel like the phone call was coming from Polly.
Yeah, for sure.
But really it was him.
I think so.
Like, who knows?
Because like he didn't even like, he just listened to it on the fucking headset. First of all, like how do you hear the address on the headset? Like you have to put it into like a coordinate and like find that shit out. He just like puts it over his ear. He's like, yeah, it's from that place. I was like, okay.
And the fact that Polly was like didn't get to defend herself, like I felt like it was all set up in a certain way. Yeah. And also on top of that, I feel like Betty, like the fact that he was there tapping the phones, like it was just his way of finding a way to tap her phone. You know what I mean?
Yeah, true. Oh,
like the house phone. Like it's all kind of like how
like
he
maybe
did it.
He's not even a real FBI agent.
See, and that's the thing. I'm like, okay, but like, can we just have a real fucking FBI agent? Like, what the hell's going on? And I'm also now starting to feel like, once again, I can't believe anything that the showrunners say. Can't believe anything that RAS says, because he originally said like, oh, she's gonna get like a cool, real, normal FBI agent brother, and then suddenly they're making him a sketch bag, and then he was like, no one's gonna die. And then, speaking of which, it ends off with like Betty being like, I'll always take care of you, I'll always make sure that everything's okay.
And he even says like, Jughead even says, he's like, all I know is like, if I ever go missing, like you're gonna be the one to find me.
You'll be the one to find me.
Cut to flash forward. Yeah. And it's like Betty and FP in the coroner's office, in the coroner's room, and like they uncover the sheet and Jughead's on the table dead.
And he's dead. My God. Yeah. What did you think of this fucking reveal, yo?
I mean,
like what the
hell? It was crazy, but I don't believe them. Like I feel like there's something off. Like it's like I don't believe it.
I know why you feel that way. When I saw it, I was like, there's no way. I was in full denial, but I was in so much shock, because why would they drop that in episode 4? Yeah. But then at the same time, I'm like, no, you look at their faces. I watched it back and I was you look at his face, you look at Betty's face, and she like knows it's done. Like he's dead. And I'm like, I can't believe they're fucking killing Jughead off of the show.
I think it's still too early, guys. I think it's still too early to say he's dead for sure. Because think about it. They're going to go through a whole season now of like our characters looking for him. If we know that this guy's dead from now, what the hell's the point of the search and all that kind of story leading up to that? So I feel like there's going to be another sort of like reveal in between now and then to be like, oh, he could still be alive, you know, because otherwise we have our answer. We have our answer right now. And like, I don't think they do that so early on.
We have the answer, but we don't know how it happened, why it happened. Like it's very like that's what I mean. It's very much like that How to Get Away with Murder.
Yeah, like you see the ending, but you don't know the ways. But I don't know if they would do that. Like I don't know if that would make sense for their audience.
Listen, all I'm thinking is they made such an extreme jump by revealing that it was actually him, that this shit better be like the best writing you guys have ever done ever, because you're killing off one of the most loved characters. Yeah. Like on the series.
And I don't know if they would do that, to be honest. Like I don't know if they would kill Cole Sprouse off the show. But having said that, it might happen because like the show is changing and like they are in their senior year. Like does Jughead fit in the aftermath after high school? He might not fit into it. And so when they're looking at it, you know, as a core 4, like losing one of the core 4s, it does make sense at this point in the series. I can see how it could make sense.
Yeah.
I don't know.
the thing that kind of sucks is like, you know, we've had his narration as the narrator of the entire show, this entire series, and for him to like now, like, what is he gonna do? Like, not finish?
Yeah,
the
but he's
book
been a
and,
narrator
like,
for Riverdale for the town that he's lived in. If he's dead and they're out of Riverdale, like they leave or whatever, then like it's not gonna really matter. Or like it's 5 years down the line, it's not gonna really matter, right?
That's true. That's gonna suck if he
Anyways,
dies,
I think
though.
it's still preemptive, guys. I want to hear what you guys have to say about this because, like, obviously it's a huge
100%.
topic of discussion. I think it's too early to predict or even say anything. And that's it.
I don't know. Put your votes in the comments below. My vote is he's definitely dead. I know it's a bit of a shock for everybody, but I'm just gonna start mourning him now.
Oh, okay.
And then see what happens at the very end of the season. I definitely can see them doing it. It's season 4.
Yeah.
Ratings are low. I don't know. Like, maybe they just really want to make things like a big extreme change and a big splash for season 5 to, you know, change it up a bit. It's going to change the entire dynamic of the show if he dies. Like, there's a lot of repercussions, but maybe it's for the better. You know, even when we thought that he was dead in the beginning of the season, when we saw that trailer and everybody's like, what's going on? Why isn't Jughead there? We did already theorize, like, if they kill him off, I would understand, just because I do feel like Cole Sprouse is somebody who is kind of like the most detached from the show. He probably emotionally doesn't feel as connected as the other kids are because, you know, he's been done doing this shit for like years. Whereas like, you know, Lily and KJ and Cammy this is like kind of like their thing, whereas like Cole might be like, I'm kind of done.
I could see that. I could see that.
So I can definitely see that happening. Okay, let's get into recap roundups.
The best line. My best moment, and I think we kind of had the same best moment. I think it was that whole sequence in Pops with Veronica and the killer guy and how that all kind of went down. I think it was the most Halloween thing that we like got to see and feel in this episode, and I wish the entire episode was like that with like all the characters. I really liked it. It was really well done.
Really well done. I really enjoyed it. Very entertaining, very scary, like I said earlier. Definitely my best moment as well.
WTF moment. My WTF moment, I think, has to go to that first scene seeing Tony, Cheryl, and then Jason. I was like, what the fuck? I'm like Tony's fine with this? Like, she's cool with this? And I'm wondering if like now that Jason is back, like I wonder if it's gonna get to a point with Tony to be like, hey girl, this is like too crazy for me. Like I can't deal with this shit. Like he smells. Right. Like I need to leave. Because we are gonna get to see her like background story a little bit apparently this season. So I wonder if like to see her background story, like is she gonna leave Thistle House? Is she gonna like leave Cheryl kind of thing, you know?
I can see that happening for sure, but I just feel like if she's out here like being patient as fuck with Cheryl with a dead body beside her, like
what else
at
is
this
there?
point, if you haven't left, like
true.
What else can you do? Like, I don't know. She's like a saint. My WTF moment is gonna go to the final moment. I know we already talked about, so we don't have to go into it again, but it definitely for me was like,
Jughead.
What the fuck? Like I can't believe, like I cannot believe that this is the real thing. I watched it back like 2-3 times and I was like, this can't be the way that they're ending the episode. Is this real? Is this like a dream sequence? Like I just couldn't believe it. But then looking at their faces, I was like, oh fuck. Like I can't believe that the showrunners are doing this so
we don't know yet for sure. MVP. My MVP is gonna go to Veronica. I think she was fucking boss ass. She like even stayed later to like cook for this random guy, missed the party, and then ended up killing him almost. So like it's cool. Like she did amazing.
Even Archie said the same thing. He was like, "Damn, you're a fucking badass." I was like, "Yeah, she was cool." She was also one of my MVPs, but the other MVP that I'm gonna give to, which I've already mentioned before, Tony for being the best girlfriend ever, for having the patience of an angel. Like she killed it. Her eye rolls and her like very like small little moments where like you looked at her facial reactions. I was living for them. They were so funny. LVP.
My LVP I think is gonna go to the motherfucking parents in Riverdale that dressed up their children in Black Hood costumes and Gargoyle Kings. Like, what made you say like, yes, son, daughter, that's a good costume? They almost like killed our town last year. Yeah, like you guys are all idiots.
Honestly, so stupid. My LVP is gonna go to FP because he was late and useless as per usual. I was like, nice.
The best line. My best line was the same as yours, so I think we should just reenact this moment. You can take the first.
Okay, ready?
First part.
I'm gonna be Polly K. Edgar, is that really you?
No, bitch, it's your sister.
No, bitch, it's your sister.
Yes, that was the line.
Oh my god, it was amazing. So fucking Lily funny. Reinhardt fucking killed it. Like, amazing.
I love her so much. She's like the best. All right, guys, that's the episode. Before we finish it up, we have a few announcements. The first one is, as NB mentioned earlier, we have our contest going on right now. So if you leave a review for us on Recap Rewind on iTunes, you'll enter into a contest for a chance to win a $50 Amazon gift card and pop socket. To enter, all you need to do is rate and comment on our iTunes page, and you'll be entered in the draw. The contest ends December 11th, where we will be drawing one lucky winner. And at this time, I'd also like to take the time to thank our patrons of the episode, our Rewinder squad. We got White, we got our Lit Rewinders, Tina Ann, Sarge, Serena, Slay, Kate, and Jessica, and our Mommy Rewinders, Becca, Sarah, Tamala, and Grace.
Thanks, guys. And if you would like to join our Patreon family, check us out at patreon.com/recap_rewind. If you join, you'll get access to all things Recap Rewind, exclusive content, and updates.
And make sure you guys are checking us out on all of our socials, Instagram, Twitter, YouTube, Facebook. And you can also find us on Google Podcasts, Spotify, and iTunes. Again, like and subscribe, follow, review, and comment to stay engaged with us at Recap Rewind. Thanks for listening.
Bye.